is really about bringing some visibility to some of our international projects that are going on. And we have 3 different panelists that will be presenting on this. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to you. So we want to hear all about you and what your message is.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Darynne Lee from Canada, and I'm 16 years old. I'm currently studying in Hong Kong. So today I will be talking about aquaponics in the developing world, particularly in arid regions, and I will be using northern Mexico as the primary example. I hope to give you guys some student perspective. So climate change is exacerbating the problem of water scarcity in arid regions, reducing both water and food security. My proposed solution is aquaponics combined with solar energy. This combination will not only conserve 90% of water usage compared to conventional farming, but it will also rely entirely on clean energy. So overall, adopting aquaponics in arid regions will increase both water availability and food security. So let's briefly explore northern Mexico conditions. So here's a bar graph of the people, GDP, and water availability in Mexico. The lighter part of the bar graph represents northern Mexico, and the darker part represents southern Mexico. So as you can see, 77% of people live in northern Mexico, and they contribute to 87% of the GDP. However, they only receive 31% of Mexico's natural water. So a large portion of northern Mexico's revenue is generated from agricultural export to the US, where produce can fetch higher prices. So you can see that currently agriculture uses 77% of all fresh water available, which is a large portion compared to other uses such as industry and domestic use. Furthermore, rising temperature and increasing population density is seriously affecting northern Mexico's food and water security. Mexico is the 11th most populous nation worldwide. The population density in northern regions is so high because it is near the US. 35% of all Mexican produce is exported to the US. Hence, there are many economic opportunities in the north, which results in an inward migration of workers with increased demands of food and water. This is especially challenging considering climate change, which is causing daily temperatures to rise and more severe droughts. So this, sorry. So here we have the distribution of drylands in Mexico. The darker colors denote semi-arid and arid regions. So as you can see, drylands occupy approximately half of Mexico, and they're mostly in central and northern Mexico. In today's talk, I will focus mainly on the region called Valle de Aquí, which is denoted by the circle at the top left corner. This condition is seriously bad because drylands limit agricultural production while food demand is still increasing. The lands are dry because of the uneven rainfall distribution and water availability across Mexico. In this graph on the left, the darker the area, the more precipitation annually. As you can see, southern Mexico receives more rain than northern Mexico, which only receives around 100 to 250 millimeters annually. This division of water availability is also illustrated in this graph on the right, where a person living in the dark gray area receives 7 times more water than a person living in the light gray area. So how are northern Mexico farmers supposed to deliver produce to the US when the water basins are not being replenished by natural rainwater? So without rainfall, farmers had to come up with a new method to meet increasing demands on water for growing food. So they've started using irrigation. This graph shows where irrigation is used. The orange areas are mostly irrigated. Sorry, the colors are a bit messed up. And then the yellow areas are mostly rain-fed. So irrigation does have its benefits as it produces higher crop yield than rain-fed areas, but it is only a temporary fix for arid regions in order to meet their food demands. The downsides of irrigation include the overexploitation of aquifers, which is shown through a decrease in the water availability of water per person from 17,000 meters squared to 4,000 meters squared, which is a 4-fold decrease within just 19 years. So one of the solutions that is currently being used to address this problem of overexploited groundwater is hydroponics. Hydroponics uses 7 times less water than conventional farming. Although this may seem like a good solution for northern Mexico, there are still problems because the effluent water flushed out contains chemical fertilizers and excess organic matter that leads to eutrophication and ultimately kills marine animals. Oops, sorry. So ultimately, an even better solution is aquaponics. Aquaponics combines the benefits of hydroponics and a recirculating aquaculture system in a controlled environment. This system is perfect for northern Mexico because it recycles 90% of its water and maintains good water quality through the process of nitrification. This graph is a better representation of the effect of nitrification on nitrogen levels over time. So as you can see, as time increases, which is the x-axis, the level of ammonia decreases as it is converted to nitrite, which it increases and then is converted into nitrate, which increases towards the end of the cycle. But as many of you know, the nitrification process is not easy to maintain. Factors such as temperature and pH water need to be delicately balanced in order for nitrifying bacteria to do their jobs productively. If these factors are not within the preferred range, nitrification will not take place and the water will not be filtered. There are other disadvantages that hinder the wide adoption of aquaponics. So Ken Armstrong, the founder of Ouroboros Aquaponics in California's Half Moon Bay, asserts that farmers must make sure they understand the nitrogen cycle and control the pH of water. It is vital that farmers learn the science behind this system. Secondly, capital investment is high for farmers because they need to pay for greenhouses, fish tanks, and operating costs. And finally, a great deal of energy is required to maintain greenhouse temperatures, pump water, and circulate the air to prevent plant disease. So using a study on growing lettuce with hydroponics in Arizona, which has a desert climate, we can examine the energy requirements. So part A shows the energy used per kilograms of lettuce grown using hydroponics versus conventional farming. Part B is a pie chart of the breakdown of energy use for hydroponics, and part C is the breakdown of energy used for conventional farming. So hydroponic energy use consists mainly of heating and cooling, which is 82%, and lighting, which is 17%. Oops, sorry. In Arizona, one single solar panel can generate 2.4 to 2.8 kilowatts hour of energy per panel per day, which can support 1 meter squared yielding 40 kilograms of lettuce per year. In comparison, in Cuted, Oregon, which is the main city in Val d'Yaqui, which has an arid climate, average temperatures are 20 to 30 Celsius, so little cooling and heating is required, and only energy is needed for air circulation, lighting, and water pumping. So in arid regions like this, it takes a big chunk of energy requirements away. The average sun hours are 11 hours per day, so one solar panel can generate up to 3.9 kilowatts hour per day. In this case, one solar panel can support 8 meters squared, yielding 320 kilograms of lettuce per year. Of course, the cost of solar panels and batteries for storing power at night should be factored in, but the cost efficiency is obvious. Using solar panels in arid regions can produce 8 times more yield than in desert climates, and there is zero carbon emission. So in conclusion, the aggregate benefits of combining aquaponics with solar power in arid regions outweigh the drawbacks, as 90% of the water is originally used for conventional farming can be given to other purposes. In fact, the idea of aquaponics has long been practiced successfully in Mexico where conditions are just right. This is an example of the Aztec civilization Chinampas Garden, which was in the Valley of Mexico. But to encourage the wider adoption of aquaponics today, we have to raise awareness, educate farmers, and promote government grants for capital investments in solar panels. To wrap it up, aquaponic recycles water and ensures good water quality through the process of nitrification. For the above reason, this closed-loop system is more advantageous than hydroponics and definitely better than conventional farming in developing countries with arid regions such as northern Mexico. With the addition of solar panel power, 100% of the energy usage comes from clean energy and the carbon footprint is reduced to zero. Ultimately, the responsibility of conserving water and energy is on all of us. Aquaponics will help ensure water and food security for developing countries, especially with arid regions. So as proof of concept, I've built a small-scale space kit. So SPACE stands for Solar-Powered Aquaponic Cultivation Experiment, and is simply a microcosm of what can be done on a large scale for arid regions in the developing world. I believe that educating citizens on how to produce food in an environmentally sustainable way should start from high school, where students can experiment on a small scale. So here's a short video on my space kit. Please enjoy.
Everyone, I'd like to share with you a very exciting project I've been working on. The SPACE Kit. SPACE stands for Solar-Powered Aquaponic Cultivation Experiment. Conceived as a plug-and-play kit, the SPACE Kit can be used in classrooms for teaching high school students about the science behind sustainable farming. Students can unpack the kit, set it up conveniently, and begin experimenting on day one. With SPACE, they can easily explore and evaluate the effectiveness of the symbiotic relationship between hydroponics and aquafarming, with the add-on of solar power for energy requirements. Ultimately, SPACE gives students a creative, accessible, and streamlined way to evaluate the advantages of biomimicry and farming in a closed-loop system. This SPACE Kit is coupled with a series of educational videos detailing setup instructions, aquaculture, hydroponics, microbiology and nitrification, solar power, environmental science, and practical science. To give credit, my SPACE Kit was built using Back to the Roots water garden, a solar-powered pump, a solar panel for sunny days, and a solar-powered battery for nighttime and rainy days. Throughout, the levels of ammonia, nitrates, and pH were monitored to ensure good water quality and healthy fish. After a week, my SPACE Kit is now functioning wonderfully. The fish look lively and disease-free, the ammonia level is zero, the pH of water is balanced, and the plants are thriving. I hope this project will teach students about science not in isolated silos like chemistry, biology, and physics, but in an interdisciplinary way that solves a real-life problem: how to produce food in an environmentally sustainable way. This holistic approach is what education should be about, and I hope SPACE will become the go-to product around the world for promoting sustainability and a circular economy. If you'd like to join me in realizing this vision, please contact me here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lastly, I want to express my gratitude to Professor James Trunkser and Stanford University SEWSS program for inspiring me and helping me pursue my passion. Thank you. Thank you.
I think I was popping pimples and working on a car in a garage at 16. I wasn't thinking about impacting the world. We need more young people like this to make a difference. Thank you for coming and sharing of yourself.